Okay, stick around. You'll hear the Bill Gates prophecy too. If they'll give me enough data, enough juice to make the TV work. Come on, guys. You little obstructionist. Well, this is Trey Smith's group of
But they are beating the hell out of this country.
It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Look, those terms flew the coop a long time ago, and everybody knows it.
Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings.
Hello.
And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
While Warren is standing up for a fairer tax code, Trump wants to cut taxes.
The thing about Hillary Clinton is, I imagine to be a very bright woman without the courage of her convictions, because I'm not even sure what they are.
Now, I can't tell you which of these two parties is going to win. That's in God's hands. Or whatever other, let's call them wild cards, might arise, or little surprises that might be lurking in the dark midst.
We have made so many bad deals during the last... So she's got experience, that I agree, but it's bad experience.
But what I can do is show you some lightning rounds of fascinating data and coincidences.
I just left Detroit, and I just left Philadelphia, and I just, you've seen me, I've been all over the place. You decided to stay home, and that's okay.
I'm going to drop right into the palm of your hands.
I've been all over, and I've met some of the greatest people I'll ever meet within these communities, and they are very, very upset with what their politicians have told them and what their politicians have done.
We certainly don't have now. We have the phony unemployment rate of 5% when the number's probably into the 20s.
Senator Clinton is the same person who has taken more money from lobbyists than any other candidate, Democratic or Republican. Taking more money from drug company lobbyists and insurance company lobbyists.
All my taxes are going down. Big league for the middle class, big league for business. And I think ultimately everyone's going to do better because our businesses are going to generate a lot more money. We're going to really have a vital economy again.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a real person doesn't exist underneath there. I don't know.
Did you talk about vice presidential possibility?
Yes. It's true. We have a live one.
Senator Warren, you guys have got to try cold chocolate.
As hard for me to admit as this is, that is in fact a United States presidential candidate.
The Spirit says when the financial harvest begins, so shall it parallel in the spiritual for America. The Spirit of God says in this next election they will spend billions to keep this president in. It'll be like flushing their money down the toilet. Let them waste their money for it comes from is being used by evil forces at work.
Much lower individual taxes, much lower business taxes. It's a pretty much no-brainer to anyone in business, from a small businessman like you to someone like you. Let people keep more of what they want. They go out, they spend it. It circulates in the economy. It creates a real virtuous cycle rather than the Fed printing up phantom money and taxing companies to death.
The first time that I ever went to the council was in the year 2008. He looked at the file and he said, Obama will be elected president. I said, sir, it cannot be. I was told, now go and tell the people. This was 1 week before the election.
Welcome to the prophecy of Trump.
For this next president will be a man of his word. When he speaks, the world will listen and know that there is something greater in him than all the others before him.
The next president of the United States will find in my government a partner to build a route, to modernize, to have a more efficient route for employment that is better paid in both countries.
This man's word is his bond, and the world and America will know this, and the enemy will fear this, for this man will be fearless.
Every year, weapons and dollars enter Mexico illegally from the north that strengthen drug cartels and other criminal organizations that generate danger in Mexico.
Toward achieving this shared objective, and it will be shared, of safety for all citizens is paramount to both the United States and to Mexico.
And the Donald Trump, perhaps, that you see is a real guy. He doesn't act. Politicians get up there and act.
Again, we were misled that there were supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that, and assault sprang out of that. And that was easily ascertained that was not the fact. And the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
But they think it's $2.5 trillion. I think it's going to be much more than that. So this money would pour into the United States as soon as we do this.
What about at zero? Why wouldn't you make it 0% then?
Well, you could make it 0, and I was actually thinking about doing that. It's such a good thing. You know?
I don't know why that's funny. I mean, did you have any in-person briefings? I don't find it funny at all.
I'm sorry, a little note of levity at 7:15.
Well, I mean, the reason I say it's not funny is because it went well into the night when our folks on the ground were still in danger. So I don't think it's funny to ask you if you were alone the whole night.
I think people are reacting to his brazen, unapologetic, just sort of unedited. It's Donald Trump talking. There's nobody sitting there and writing his speech.
I like scrutiny, but you know what? When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty.
They will not succeed. For this next election will be a clean sweep for the man that I have chosen. They will say things about this man, the enemy, but it will not affect him. They shall say it rolls off of him like the duck. For as the feathers of the duck protect it, so shall my feathers protect this next president.
I'm not looking for credit, but what I don't want is when I raise millions of dollars, have people say, like this sleazy guy right over here from ABC. He's a sleaze in my book. You're a sleaze because you know the facts, and you know the facts well. Go ahead.
Even mainstream news media will be captivated by this man and the abilities that I have gifted him with.
And so, look, here's the story. I think, and I've been dealing with the press a long time, I think the political press is among the most dishonest people that I've ever met. I have to tell you that, okay? Of course, you're excluded, Cole.
And, you can hate the guy, but you don't think for a second that there's a guy sitting there, here's what you should say, Donald. Yeah. He's his own man. He doesn't care what Privacy or anybody else has to say. He's saying, look, this is what I believe in.
More than 110,000 people at his rallies, while Clinton has accumulated only a little more than 10,000.
The enemy will say, what shall we do now? This man knows all our tricks and schemes. We have been robbing America for decades. What shall we do to stop this?
I'll tell you honestly, I'm not running against crooked Hillary. I'm running against the crooked media. That's what I'm running.
So we go from the highest tax in the world to being one of the lowest tax. We're actually third lowest, and at the 15%. People now are going to bring their money back, and they're going to bring it back automatically, Joseph.
To date, as of Clinton's 11 events, 5 have been held in high school gyms, which she can't even fill.
The Spirit says, ha. No one shall stop this that I have started. For the enemy has stolen from America for decades, and it stops now.
You in the center, why don't you turn your camera? Show them how many people come to these rallies. Turn them. Go ahead, turn them. Go ahead.
Even Barack Obama himself, the first time she ran, couldn't believe that it was real. Let me have him tell it.
This is the same person who took money from financial folks on Wall Street and then voted for a bankruptcy bill that makes it harder for folks right here.
For I will use this man to reap the harvest that the United States has sown for and plunder from the enemy what he has stolen and return it sevenfold back to the United States.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life.
The Spirit of God says, I have chosen this man, Donald Trump, for I will use this man to bring honor, respect, and restoration to America. America will be respected once again as the most powerful and prosperous nation on earth. The dollar will be the strongest it has ever been in history of the United States and will once again be the currency by which all others are judged.
Suddenly, I was caught up in the Spirit, and I found my soul standing before the council, the very council where I always used to go. And I saw Father Abraham, and I was standing beside him, and I was very, very surprised to see Donald Trump come and stand in the room. And this is what I was told.
I commonly hear said that this man right here, Donald Trump, is like a modern day Cyrus. I find that absolutely fascinating.
They said Trump will become president. Wait. Listen to the whole thing before you clap your hands.
Also, it's frequently said that the United States is Babylon. I like that analogy. Let's roll with that. You know, in truth, in the Bible, Israel was called Babylon about as much, if not more, than Babylon is called Babylon. Dan, can you tell me kind of a short version of when the Lord told you about the next 45th president of the United States? Can you kind of tell me how that came to you, if you can?
Oh, I'll explain it if I can.
Okay. A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually an entire chapter of your Bible written by a Babylonian king. And that's important for other reasons we won't get into now. But this wasn't just any Babylonian king. This was the toughest, meanest, biggest, and baddest Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar. At this point in history, there's been quite a variety of these cylinders from King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon that have been found. These are going to boast of his grand palaces and temples, etc. This was the most powerful Babylonian king that ever lived, who wrote the 4th chapter of Daniel, king of not only Babylon, but all earth. Prophecy is not just prediction and then fulfillment. It's much, much more than that.
I've been in China for about 13 years. So basically, I cater to the elite, to the top 10% of the population within China, connecting them with investments in the United States.
Where I have the mind of Christ. I hear a spiritual voice that I hear. It's not visions or anything like that. It's just a union and a knowing and a hearing.
When I was growing up, I remember my father saying to me, "Hey, John, eat all your food because people in China are suffering." Well, that's not anymore, my friend.
Oh, God, I can't explain how it is. It's mostly a gift. And I think that God speaks to everybody in that way. They just don't recognize his voice because you have to have a settled and peaceful mind.
The saying in China is, "Hey, eat your food because people in the United States are starving." That's no joke, and that is what my daughter hears when she eats. So the reality is there's been a shift.
Of all of the strong founders and hardworking men, Nebuchadnezzar took Babylon to being its largest and most powerful. Daniel 4. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven. When King Nebuchadnezzar die is